Greetings and good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar titled The Weather and Your Wallet. Don't let natural disasters destroy your life or your finances. COVID 19 has been the biggest natural disaster in a century, but we're here today to talk about the natural disasters that come like clockwork every year. We're not trying to depress you, but actually raise your spirits. Preparing for natural disasters isn't hard, and it's not expensive either. Once you do it, you have peace of mind. When you have a disaster plan, you worry less and enjoy life a little more, even now during a pandemic. Of course, natural disasters aren't polite. They don't stand in line and wait their turn. COVID 19 won't deter wildfires, hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes, or floods this year. And if 2020 is anything like 2019, most of the country could be in the path of something bad. No matter what the year, no part of the United States is immune from natural disasters. Wherever you are right now listening to me, you're vulnerable to a natural disaster. According to the federal government, natural disasters killed 44 people last year. The total cost of those disasters was $45 billion. Interestingly, $20 billion was the result of flooding. You might think with that much money on the line, Americans would be on top of their disaster planning. Think again. When was the last time 70% of people in this country agreed on anything? Well, over the summer, they agreed that they worry about natural disasters. Yet three-quarters of them aren't doing anything about it. We have enough to worry about these days. So let's talk about easing the fear of natural disasters. How can we do that? By taking just a little time and even less money to prepare in advance. Let's start by talking about disaster preparation that costs nothing. There are three key things you can do right now. Gather all your key documents, organize everything you'll need to get compensated for any destruction, and design evacuation routes and when you'll use them. Let's take a quick look at each of them. First, gather up all the paperwork you'll need in case the worst happens. Most importantly, that means insurance policies. Check your policies to make sure you're properly covered. If not, time to talk to your insurance agent. If so, write down the name, address, and claims reporting telephone number of your insurance company. And remember, this might be different from your agent's contact information. Also take pictures of everything of value in your house. That's much easier these days with cameras in almost everyone's phones. Don't forget to shoot not only that nice couch, but also all your jewelry and other collectibles. If you have documents attesting to their value, gather those too. Having excellent documentation won't matter if you don't have it safely in one place, and it needs to be portable too. If you need to evacuate, you want to grab everything you'll need and not worry you've left something behind. That's why the worst time to gather up your documentation is right before you need to leave. While some people have a portable and waterproof metal lockbox for hundreds of dollars, just as many people keep these documents safely stored in cheap Tupperware. Whatever works for you, as long as it's protected and at your fingertips. When people hear the word evacuation, they think it means get out now. They don't often consider where am I going? So, an evacuation plan actually answers two questions. First, what's the safest and quickest route away from the danger? Second, where is the safest and cheapest place to land? That could be the home of a friend or relative or a government or private shelter. But you want to figure that out now. Otherwise, you'll get the first part right and get out of danger, but you won't have a destination to wait out the worst of it. Technology doesn't just make it easier to order stuff online and make our TV sets bigger and brighter. Technology has made it safer to survive natural disasters, and it's not expensive either. For instance, you can buy a thermal emergency blanket for about $15. A good solar charger for your smartphone is around $20. Same for a personal water filter. Best of all, these items last a long time, so you don't have to buy them again. Even the emergency food, while not exactly gourmet, is relatively cheap and lasts up to a decade. Each kind of natural disaster requires different supplies, although some are universal. Here's the problem: most disaster supplies are purchased at exactly the wrong time. During hurricane season, for example, most bottled water is sold 48 hours before the storm is scheduled to hit, leading not only to shortages but price gouging. Shopping for disaster supplies is just like shopping for holiday gifts. It's best to do it off season. You'll save more. Look for deals year round, not just on the eve of, say, tornado season. Shop for blizzard supplies in the summer. Shop for hurricane supplies in the winter. Now, we could spend an entire webinar on preparing for each kind of natural disaster, but thankfully, there's no shortage of excellent advice on exactly what to do to prep for each kind of disaster. For the best mask for a wildfire to how much bottled water you'll need for a hurricane. If you don't know where to go first, start with us. We've compiled a simple booklet on natural disasters that isn't the end of the information you'll need, but it's a really good beginning. While we're talking about beginning your research, let's focus on one key fact about each kind of natural disaster that often gets overlooked. For instance, even if you've gone through a hurricane before, and even if you're prepared for it very well, you might not know this. Flooding kills more people and causes more in property damage than the high winds do. It's the storm surge from the ocean that's more deadly than the gale force winds. In some ways, calling wildfires a natural disaster isn't accurate since almost all of them are caused by human beings either acting clumsily or maliciously. Thus, more wildfires start in areas where camping is allowed than in remote wilderness areas. So check to see where camping is allowed near you. Although tornado season is traditionally March through May in the South, they peak in the summer up north, and they can happen in any state in the country. Only Alaska is spared, although it last had one documented in 2005. So unless you live in Alaska, Don't ever say it can't happen here. Earthquakes are the most common natural occurrence on the list, except no one feels most of them. Of the 500,000 that happen each year, human beings only feel about 10,000 of them, and only 100 cause any damage to property or claim lives. But earthquakes are among the most damaging natural disasters. In this country, they cost more than $4 billion a year, according to FEMA. Flooding is the one natural disaster that follows other natural disasters. As we mentioned, hurricanes can cause flooding, but so can tornadoes and earthquakes. So called no name storms cause flooding too. Did you know 90% of all U.S. natural disasters declared by the president involve some sort of flooding? It's also the one natural disaster that can happen anywhere, even Alaska. No matter what natural disaster hits you, the recovery process is almost always the same. First, don't venture outside until you get the all clear from officials. Second, assess your family's needs and any property damage. Third, use your disaster supplies for eating, drinking, cleaning, and washing. That's all basic stuff. But what about financially recovering from a natural disaster? If you suffer any damage from a natural disaster and you and your family are safe, the next step is to ensure your finances are safe. Remember when I talked about putting all your valuable documents in one safe place? Well, now it's time to consult them. Break out those insurance policies. Call the agents representing you right away. Don't expect them to get right back to you since they're surely slammed with other claims. But the sooner you call, the sooner you'll hear. Also, contact your lenders and ask for grace periods and extensions. That's everything from your mortgage to your credit cards. If your home is damaged and you can't stay there, don't forget to tell your utility companies. They can suspend your service and save you some money. And now we come to the most important slide of this presentation. After a natural disaster, you might feel like your world has been turned upside down and you're all alone. You might not have cell phone service, only heightening your sense of loneliness. But the fact is, you are not alone. You have help available to you, and much of it is free. Some of it actually gives you money. Let's review that quickly. Once you get back online, your first step is to visit consumerfinance.gov/recover. That website offers step by step instructions for recovering from every kind of natural disaster. If you're in a presidentially declared disaster area, go to disasterassistance.gov to learn how to claim some aid. Go to the homepage of your state's website to see if you qualify for state aid, even if you're not in an official disaster area. You can also call the Red Cross at 800 Red Cross to see about financial aid, shelter, free meals, free clothing, and even some personal hygiene supplies. One service Consolidated Credit has long provided is free priority counseling for those affected by natural disasters. For nearly 3 decades, we've offered a free debt analysis from a certified credit counselor. But after a natural disaster, we've offered even more help. Keep this number handy. That is 1-800-210-3481. And after you seek out the help on the previous slide, make sure to call us. Let's talk briefly about who not to call. After a natural disaster, scammers descend upon the area. Some are shady contractors who offer to fix up your property for cheap, but only if you pay in cash, up front, and right away. Never pay up front. Pay as the work gets done. Always get estimates from more than one contractor and make sure they're licensed and bonded. You might also get phone calls from official sounding people demanding you give them your social security number and other personal details. Ask for their number so you can call them back. If they're reluctant, hang up. In fact, if you're not sure what to do, the best advice is to do nothing. Like we just said, there's plenty of free help out there. So you don't need to fall for any scams to get the assistance you need. Natural disasters are only fun in the movies. In real life, they're scary and costly. But with a little planning and just a little money, you can weather the storm. Today was just an overview, just a starting point. But as you can see, it's not as daunting as you might think. If you're in debt right now, this is a good time to call Consolidated Credit and save money that can go into an emergency fund and disaster supplies. Call us before trouble arrives. Thank you so much for listening, and we welcome any questions that can be directed at the number on your screen, which is 844-484-3231, or visit us on our website at consolidatedcredit.org. Thank you again, and make the rest of your day the best of your day. Have a great day.